So tell us what actually happened.
What happened was that I fell in love.
Oh! Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Priscillia. I'm so excited that you landed on this channel and that you get to watch the Time with Priscillia show. It's such a beautiful season because I'm going to get to interact with a wonderful person today. She's actually a sister. Listen, let me not say much. I can't wait for you to meet her and hear what she has to share with us today on the Time with Priscillia show. Please make sure you subscribe so that you get to be notified anytime we actually have new episodes of the show or any other inspiring and edifying content. Welcome.
Thank you.
Everyone. Super excited. Today we have with us on the show Mrs. N. Please, I'm just going to stop there. Mrs. N. I'm not about to pronounce your husband's name. Oh my goodness. You're welcome. Thank you so much for accepting to do this.
Okay.
So please.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just introduce yourself a little.
All right. So my name is Dorcas, and I'm a wife to a very wonderful man. My name is Mrs. Nwachukwu. If you like it that way. Yeah. So it's quite difficult to pronounce, but anyway, no problem. So I'm a mother, and I'm a worker. Let me put it that way. And also I'm a business owner. So that's in short what I am.
Thank you so much. So today we are going to have a conversation around your journey from a single woman to a married woman. I love stories so much. And the reason that I love stories is because we can all relate to them and we actually get to hear the process. I usually really get interested in the process because many times we're in a generation where we usually talk about the results and people feel like you just get results. There's no process. So I like to talk about the process. So let's go a bit into your journey. You know, let's go back. Let's backtrack to when you were single. Tell us a bit about your single life. How was it like?
Wow. Now you want to take me back to those days?
Yes. Back to the beginning. Back to the days.
Back to those days. Yeah. Very interesting periods, you know. Yeah. Anyway, single days were quite an experience. Single days were wonderful because, you know, every season is peculiar. Every season is special. So the season of single days, you know, was quite wonderful. I must confess, it came with a lot of things, a lot of experience, a lot of ups and downs, you know, a lot of training on its own, because when things happen, you get to learn. You know, single days were a period where I went through different stages about life, you know, and as I went through the stages, I got to learn things as days go by. You understand? So I single days opened my eyes a lot about life. Yeah, but when I made mistakes and when I am to correct the mistakes, so I got to learn a lot of things, and they shaped my daily living. I became more careful as I was growing. I became more careful about how to choose my friends, I became more careful about where to go and where not to go. Those days when I was younger, I used to be, you know, I used to be too, like, too obvious. Like, when people used to get to know me very easy. Like, and I like making my presence noticed somehow, whether what I was doing was okay or not. So far people understood that I was there. I'm okay with that. I wasn't the shy type. Okay, I wasn't the shy type. I was outspoken, even though I might not be saying the right things or to say the way it's supposed to be, maybe the way my entourage will expect me to say them, but I love to say it anyway. So from the way I behaved, I got to learn, how to do things better. You understand? Another thing is, I had the opportunity, I would say it's an opportunity, to discover myself the moment I had to go to university. You understand? So at that particular time, I had to be very far from my parents. I had to be very far from my parents. I hope the light is okay. You are seeing me very well.
I think it's gotten a bit darker.
Yeah. So I hope it's fine now. So
Yeah,
I had to be sort of on my own. I had to be sort of independent. I had to be in a situation whereby I had to face life. I had to face the reality of life by myself. I didn't have anybody, an immediate person, an immediate relative to guide me. So at some point, I realized I needed to take some positive decisions that would really matter for me and for my life. So I began to minimize some of my steps, some of my crazy steps. I will specify that I used to take. I had to minimize them on my own. You understand? In fact, I grew in a way. I became mature in a way. I understood life better. Yeah. So although it wasn't easy for me staying, alone, but then it was very wonderful. I can't forget. I can't forget those periods, those moments. In French, we normally say that the best advice, I think it's also in English, the best advice is the one you give yourself. You understand? So when the one that you sit down and reflect on and be like, I think at this point in time, this is what I should now do. This is what, and by the grace of God, I was equally, surrounded with people, great people that had good visions about life, people that have, people that really knew or know what they wanted in life, what life is all about, and the fact that you need to take life on the right aspect of it. So
yeah.
I
So
got to
before we actually continue from there and talk about the kind of people that you had around you and all of that, I want us to backtrack again. And let's go back a bit and talk about your upbringing. I think that it would be great to know the kind of family that you grew up in so that we're able to follow the trajectory and get somewhere. So take us back. Take us back. What kind of family did you grow up in? And how did that how did that actually help you in your journey of singleness?
Well, first of all, I'm a first in the family. I'm a first child of my parents and the first daughter. And I was born in a Christian home. My father is a pastor. My mom is a pastor's wife. You understand? She's a
Yeah.
women leader also. So I grew up in an environment where you have to wake up in the morning and do your morning devotions. Even though at some point, it was feeling so, kind of,
Burdensome.
ah,
Like a
must we
burden.
do it? Must we do it every day? You understand?
Mm.
That kind of thing. So I grew up in a Christian home. I grew up in an environment where we hold Bible scriptures, so dear. It's irreplaceable. Like you can't do without it. So I grew
Mm.
up knowing that even though at some point you will feel, let me test the other way, but
Yeah.
that foundation made me to really retrace my step back, because it's a good foundation, and it was well established, because it was established right from childhood. So you
Yeah.
understand. So
Wow.
imagine you are introduced to the Bible at a tender age. When you grew up, it just like the word of God said that you should train up a child in a way he should grow. So to my parents and to me today, I know that showing your child the biblical, lifestyle is the way to grow.
Yeah.
Everything about life resolves in this. So I grew up in that kind of environment where we need to go to church. We don't have to miss church services. We don't have to miss church programs. Whether you understand or you don't understand, you must dress up and follow.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of environment I grew up in.
Okay. So would you say that at that point, you growing up, I will not give like an age bracket, but would you say that you actually accepted Christ at that early stage, and when? I want us to talk a bit about that before we move forward to talk about your journey to marriage, because you say you've mentioned that you had to go to church whether you wanted or not, whether you understood or not, you had to do that. So I really want us to understand the dynamics and how that actually played. Did you accept Christ in your life, at that early stage? If not, when did you actually do that?
No, I didn't accept Christ at that early stage. But I remember I used to answer altar call. I used to
Mm.
answer altar call. And everything is not about going in front, going forward to join the crowd and being prayed for and be led to Christ. So I will not say I gave my life to Christ at that time, because I was not yet conscious of what I was doing. I would say I was just following, or maybe let my mom or my dad see that yes, me too, I am there. So let me just follow and answer altar call. So at that tender age, I will not say that I gave my life to Christ at that tender age.
So
No.
what age are we talking about? Around what age? Teenage, before teenage years?
Well, um, I would say that I gave my life to Christ. Um, let me at some point okay, maybe I will not at a point I backslided. So should I say that it is when I came back that I really gave my life to Christ, or I gave my life to Christ before I backslided? Which one is which? But what I know is that the time that I gave my life to Christ before I backslided, I was conscious of it. I was
Okay.
fully in it. In fact, I accepted it within me that yes, now I am ready to follow Christ
Mm.
before I backslided. Yeah. So
Okay.
I would say I gave my life to Christ. I was around let's say 15, 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's quite great. That was quite early as compared to so
Mm-hmm.
many other people. So
Yeah.
so so now let's continue the journey from I want us to talk a bit about that part where you backslided. coming from a Christian home where you had a very good foundation, and you've just affirmed it, and even, we can say shout out to your parents. So what actually happened? And the reason I want us to talk about this is because I want us to keep this as real as possible. There are people watching who may feel like, yeah, that upbringing too, but right now. So tell us what actually happened.
What happened was that I fell in love.
Oh.
You see, are you
Wow.
Oh my God! So like,
it's getting hot. It's getting hot. Tell us about the love story. Who stole your heart? Who stole your heart?
Oh my God! Oh my God! Who else? Who else if not a man? A man stole my heart. So wow. My poor heart. And at that particular time, you feel like the whole world revolves around your feelings. You understand? Yes. Nobody speaks around you. Nobody says anything around you. Like nobody makes sense. Nobody makes sense around you. So you are the only sensible person on earth.
Come on. Yes. That's how that guy took you away. Tell us a bit about that, because so was it a case of at that point you realize that you're in love with a guy, and maybe your parents are like, maybe it's too early for you? Tell us a bit, just a bit, if you don't mind, about that.
Everything is about the way we handle issues, because I believe maybe if I was handled differently or carefully, I wouldn't have backslided. I would have still been on track. But then at the long run, God would open my eyes, because there's nothing like violence involved. There's nothing like if you do this, I'll do this to you. If you do that, I'll do that to you. Do you want them to discipline me? Do you want them to put me at the back seat? I'm going to send you on exile. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So if it was handled differently, maybe I wouldn't have backslided. I would have still, been on track. So what actually happened was that my parents at that time misunderstood the whole thing completely. Like everything was, to them, I'm in love means I've started sleeping around. Like I've started doing the thing. Yeah. So, and I don't blame them, you understand? Because first of all, my mom, she used to tell me that she's the type that she never knew what this thing we call life. She never knew about it. She never knew about it. First of all, she used to be a Catholic member, and she was even preparing to be a nun. You understand? Okay. So she doesn't know all this my boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, and she's the type that doesn't go out. So when she perceived that there's something like I am being attracted to the opposite sex, she was like, oh my God, what is happening to me? What is going on? This thing has never happened to me. What is happening to me? All of a sudden, she's already seeing pregnancy. She's already seeing, that kind of thing. Yes. So it made them to it made her to be too she couldn't control herself the way she should handle the issue, and coupled with the fact that she never educated me earlier on about it. It's like those parents that believe that talking about sex with your children is a taboo. You're not supposed to talk to them about sex. You're not supposed to educate them. So that even made me, when I the first day I saw my menstrual period, I couldn't go back to the house, because I was telling my friend that my parents will kill me today. Wow. My parents will kill me today, because I have seen my period. I did not do anything. No blood is flowing, because it's my first time. So they never educated me on anything. I came back, my friend accompanied me home, and I was crying. My mother was like, what is happening? Then my friend was dragging me, go inside. I was dragging myself back. No, she will kill me. My mom was like, what is happening? I said, no, me, I did not do anything. No, it just came out though. I just saw blood, and I was in the classroom when that thing happened. So that kind of thing, she never educated me. So when it happened, I couldn't even tell them. First of all, it was the guy that picked courage to come and see my parents. Oh my God. And you even had the courage to come to the house to see my parents. Wow. So that's one alone.
It's worth
so this is what so this is what is happening. Like, this is what you are trying to do. So the fast forward to what happened next. To cut a long story short, my father, called me, and he was like, I should tell him the truth, the whole truth. Do I love the guy? I said, yes, I'm in love with him. He controlled himself, but he was irritated. He was irritated with what the answer I gave. Are you in love with the guy? I said, yes. He said, okay. So, which means you have started doing it. I said, doing what? He said, has he? I said, no. He has not done anything to me. Besides, it's not even as if I visit him in his house or something, it's not like that. I don't know, but I just started having feelings for the guy, just like that. So he said I should invite the guy to the house. So I invited the guy to the house. I spoke with the guy and told him that my parents want to see you, and I was happy. I felt maybe they will advise us and tell the guy maybe what he should do, the lines he shouldn't cross, maybe try to welcome him in a way for things not to get, at my greatest surprise, 6 o'clock that morning, early morning time, I saw my mom. She put water on fire. My dad went to carry one long pipe. That kind of pipe that is hard. That pipe that is hard. Not the flexible one, that hard one. He carried it. Me, I didn't know what was happening. My mom was already putting water on fire. So as the guy, I went to call the guy. They said I should go and call the guy. So I know where the guy, his friend, he normally at that particular time he was still spotting with his friend. So I went to his friend and I asked whether he was there. He said yes. I called him. I said, my parents have accepted our relationship. They said I should come and call you.
Wow.
So I went to call him. He said, okay, are you serious? I said, yes. There's something wrong with this. But anyway, let's go. So we went. At my greatest surprise, the guy, we both landed in the house. My mom went to carry a cup, fetched from that boiling water, and wanted to pour it on the guy. My father went to carry that long pipe and wanted to hit me. When he raised his hand like this and wanted to hit me with that. Then the guy held my father's hand and said, don't touch her. We are not doing anything. I came to you to tell you that I love your daughter. The best thing you should have done was to advise me on what to do, not to take it as if I've impregnated your daughter. So they overreacted, and that pissed me off. Like that one alone scattered the whole thing. So that was my first time of staying outside. I left with the guy in front of them, and I never came back.
Wow.
You understand? That alone made me, I was like, so there's no need, because I did not hide anything from you. You asked me, I told you. So there's no need. I told the guy, let's go. I was the one that even told the guy, no, let's go. So we left. I followed him in front of them. I followed him. I went to spend the whole day. It was now very late in the night. He was begging me that I should go back to my parents. He doesn't want to cause any problem. He doesn't want them to see him as a bad person. I should go to my parents. I refused, but at the end I accepted, and he accompanied me home. So when he accompanied me home, everywhere was now quiet. I passed close to my dad though. I did not even greet. He too did not tell me anything. I just passed. I entered my room and locked my door and slept.
Wow.
It was not the following morning when I was preparing to go to school. They now called me and started advising. I told them it's too late. You understand? So I told them it's too late. The milk has been spilled. So if from today you see me misbehaving, it's your fault. So later on, I heard that there were neighbors that were watching that morning, and the neighbors came to advise them after we had left that the way you acted was very bad, that it is rare you see ladies today bring a man to their house and say, this is the person. Ladies get pregnant these days and you don't even know who impregnated them. But at least you know who to hold responsible. If tomorrow you don't see her, you know where to go to. So you overreacted. Maybe that was why by the time I could come back that evening, the whole place, the whole temperature had gone down. You understand? So that was from that time I started becoming rebellious. I started when I go to school, I come back very late. They say we are going for Bible studies. I told them today I'm not interested in going for Bible studies. So that was how everything started. Little by little, little by little, I even stopped going to church completely.
Wow.
You understand? And that made me to give myself to the man. You understand? And I was like, so that thing that they were thinking, I know, even when I didn't know. Now let me know it. Do you understand?
Wow. Wow.
So do you see where overreaction can lead someone? Do you see where anger can lead someone? You know, issues that we can handle maturely and wisely, we overreact and spoil the whole thing. So, and I'm not proud of it. I wasn't proud of what I did. I regretted it, but I did it to pain them. I did it to pain them, not knowing that me too, I was hurting myself. You understand?
Yeah.
So that was the whole thing. So from that day, there was tension between my parents and the guy. The guy was not to come to the house again. Even to greet, they will not respond. If the guy greets my parents, they will not respond because they felt he's not coming to church. He's not a member of the church. So he's an unbeliever. So we need to cut every link between him and the family. So that was what led to me, going from one state to another, it was like I was now distancing myself from my own parents. You understand? So I now saw them like the enemy. You get that? So I had to rely more on the guy. So it went on and on until I got my A level and traveled out of the country. So it went on and on like that. So that's the story.
What an interesting story. Wow. And I like the
So that's the story.
I like the fact that you are actually, breaking it down, explaining how it happened, how you got yourself into it, so that we can learn as well. I'm sure we'll have some parents watching this, and some of us also, with our own children, will learn how to tackle some of these issues better. Wow, interesting. So at what point did you give your life back to Christ? Because now we've established that did you give your life to Christ, back to Christ before you got married or after you got married? Before we go into, at what point did you maybe break up with the other guy and also got to meet your husband, things like that? So tell us, first of all, when you gave your life back to Christ.
Okay, so I gave my life to Christ in December 2011. Okay. What happened was that first, it's important for me to tell you that when I left, I left with bitterness. When I left the country, when I left my parents for studies, I left with bitterness in the heart. Um, my purpose was to read law, and then after I've read the law, I'll come back and sue them. That was the intention.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll come back
I
and sue
remember
them
that.
because they made me break my virginity without my, like, the time that I didn't want it. So I left with that anger in me. I felt I would read this law and come back and sue you. I don't want to know whether you are my parents or not. I know it was childish of me. Somebody will say it's a child talk, it's this or
Yeah.
that. Nobody will listen to me in the court of law. But in my mind, I was like, let me try and see if it won't work. At least let them see that I was hurt somehow. And I
Wow.
I was only communicating with my mom at that particular time, because after the whole incident, she came and sort of apologized. You understand? And we sort of, reestablished our mother and child relationship somehow. So I wasn't that bitter with her, but my dad was very hard, in hard this thing to crack. So,
Yeah.
and we have kind of the same nature. So if he says no, I say no as well. So to me, as he did not come to apologize, he never apologized to me for what he did. To him, he felt he was doing the right thing, and I felt he led me to do what I didn't want to do. So I'm going to pay back. I'm going to strike back. So I left the country in 2009. Until 2012, I never spoke with my dad.
Wow.
When I speak with my mom and he wants to pass phone to him, I call the phone. I never spoke with my dad, and he never on his own called me. You understand? So although he was asking after me from my mom, but he never on his own swallowed his pride to call me and let's settle this. And I was comfortable with that, because I felt I was on a mission. Let me finish this law and come back.
Wow.
Then we'll face ourselves.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
So I spent like 3 good years. I never spoke with my dad. But when I gave my life to Christ, it happened gradually. Giving my life to Christ happened gradually. And that made me, that singular act made me, when I went for studies, I met this particular guy also, and we began another relationship together. You see, from one thing to another, from one relationship to another. So it's good you don't even start at all. It's good you don't even start at all. When you start it, it won't be easy for you to stop. So I got into another relationship with another guy, and the guy seemed very wonderful. Besides, I had left going to church. So meeting someone that was good and he was a Muslim, I felt Christianity didn't favor me. Let me join Muslim. You understand? So people were talking left and right, but I knew what I was dealing with. So what happened was that I was invited to the church where I used to worship with my parents. I don't know if I'm permitted to mention the name. I was invited to my church, and when the first time I got there, I was literally crying. Like, I was crying because, first of all, I felt I had missed the church, and then secondly, I was bitter because I left the church not with my will, out of my will. So I felt I had missed a lot of things, since I left the church. And the worship service at that particular time was different, totally different. I felt God telling me, forget about the pains and come back. But I was still hurt, so I was just crying. You understand? So the 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 leader, if I should put it that way, that invited me that day, he called me later on outside when service finished. I was putting on my glasses. When service finished, he came close to me, and my eyes were red. And he was like, were you crying? And I said, no, I have eyes problem. I lied. You understand? So he noticed my eyes were not the normal color. So he asked whether I was crying. I said no, I had eye problem. He said, okay, how was service? I said it was fine. It was fine.
You are playing hard
So,
girl.
yeah, I was playing hard girl. You understand? Yeah, I don't want him to feel that I was crying. Maybe I was touched with the service, by the service and all that, So I told him that I was having eye problem. So that day when I got back home, I told myself I will never go back again. I will never go back again. Let me just focus on my mission and establish a different life altogether.
Let's now be convinced. Let me not come back before they convince me, please. I have a mission to accomplish. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This sounds so much like Saul. Saul's story in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was what happened. And at that particular time I felt God established somebody, to draw me back, because I went from churches to churches. I visited other churches, you understand, but anytime I am there, I don't feel what I need, you understand. So but I felt God placed somebody there, to draw me back. So God used a sister, you understand. God used a sister, and the sister kept talking to me. The sister kept inviting me to the church, and in fact, the sister is the one hosting this life. Like, as you see, the sister is the one hosting this life. Let me not say it as if the sister is somewhere. Yeah, the sister is there. The person you are looking at right now, she's the one. In fact, God used her a lot. God used her. It was like God placed her there to police me. And then she was not always present physically, but she kept calling. She would call maybe during weekends. How about going to church and all that? So to cut the long story short, I remember one Saturday she invited me to church, and I told her that I was going to spend the weekend with my boyfriend. I was so crazy. I was so crazy at that time. I was acting.
You would say it straight.
Yes, I was saying the way.
Maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll not come. You would tell me straight. I am not coming, and you would tell me your agenda. I'm like, what kind of is this?
What type of woman being? What type of woman being is this? Yeah, so anyway, naturally that's who I am, you understand. I say the way it is. So and I told her that I was going to spend the weekend with my boyfriend, and I don't remember what she replied, whether she said I should try and come and all that. So and I actually went to meet my boyfriend to spend the weekend. So I went. That was Friday evening, Saturday. Then Sunday morning, I was on the bed, and something was like, somebody invited you for service. So won't you go? I was battling with the spirit. I was battling with the question. I didn't want to go. Then God spoke through that my boyfriend. He said, so you too, you Abi, you say you are Christian, you too, you won't go to church today. You just want to be with me, Abi.
He was a Muslim, right? He was a Muslim.
Yeah. And he was a Muslim.
God is going to find you.
So I was like, so you think me too, I can't go to church? Okay, let me go. You know, like let for him to see that I've gone to church, let me also go to church. So I dressed up. I don't even remember what I was wearing on. I just put on something and I went to church. And it was a combined campus service. I remember very well. It was a combined campus service. And we went for that Sunday service, and something happened in that hall. Something happened. There was this particular sister that was sitting behind me, and as the word of God was going on, the sister wrote a note to me. She wrote a note and she told me that she's pregnant. They wrote the letter, the note read, I am pregnant. And this is a sister this is a sister to me, like she's a sister to me. And when I read it, I looked at her. I read the letter again. I was like, what? What came out of my mouth was again, because I know the sister had gone through abortion before. So I was like, again, all of a sudden, in church.
Come on,
this is happening. This is happening in the church. Oh my goodness. And all of a sudden, the voice came and was telling me, what have you gained? You are claiming you have boyfriend. You are claiming you are this, you are that. All this while that you are claiming, you don't want to give your life to Christ. You don't want to come back to Christ, to what you have left because of one thing or the other. You want to spoil yourself. This thing you just read now, this is the mission of the devil. He is here to destroy. Abi, she has done abortion before. Now she's pregnant again and she's telling you she wants to abort it again. Okay, assuming she dies inside. You know, God used her to speak to me the more. As I was reflecting on what I read on that note, the voice came and was speaking to me. And immediately, at that particular, everything happened so fast. The preacher on the pulpit was ending his message and was like, anybody that wants to give his life to Christ should rise up, should indicate. And I didn't even think twice. I didn't mind the number of people that were in the hall. I just raised up my hands and I told myself that it's done, it's over. That's it. I'm not going back to that again. So after that service that day, I went to my boyfriend. I told him that we are done. He laughed. He said, baby, it's not possible now, baby. You can't do that to me. Baby, you know, you can't do that to me. I was like, see, you think I'm joking? I'm not joking, no. I'm going. And what happened was that immediately I had the urge to move out. You get that? I had the urge to move out because I was not staying far from him. I was staying downstairs and he was staying upstairs. So at some point I had to move up. I had to move upstairs with him, you know. So then I decided to look for another house very far from that place. So I started moving out. I didn't even stay long, and I found a house. I started moving out. My dear, when you decide to serve, when you decide to give your life to Christ, it will not be easy. It will not be easy. That moment you
Yeah.
decide that I am cutting every link with the devil, he will not let you. So everything now boils down on what you actually want, whether you mean it or not. You understand? So that was actually what happened. And I I later got a house and I moved out. But the devil didn't let me. The devil didn't let me. I I was falling and rising, falling and rising, falling and rising. The place that I went where I was staying, and then I was like, don't come again, no, don't come again, no. It's not possible now. So far you have
Wow.
let him know where
You
you're
told
staying.
him
You
where you
can't
were
tell him don't
staying,
come again.
and you told him not to be
Ah,
coming.
eh, you understand? Very funny. Oh my God.
Wow.
So
What a strategy.
that was what happened. And and but I needed to dot the I and cross the T at some point, because I got to understand that it wasn't the life for me. I needed to free myself. I needed to be at peace with myself and at peace with everybody, to be able to move on, to be able to carry on. Then that was how I called my parents. I picked the phone, and called my parents, and I told them that I'm a new person now. I told them that I'm a new person now. So they were driving. My father was driving. So
Oh,
my
okay.
parents were my my parents were driving, and when they heard the news, they were very happy. And
Can you
I
imagine?
think few days later, my father called me and he apologized. It was like
Oh,
it
oh,
was
what a
like
strategy.
so like he called me and he apologized, and he reversed. If he had said anything negative, he reversed everything, and he said I should forgive him, and I also told him that I have forgiven him. That was how we made up, reconciliation something, you
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
So he told me that he has forgiven me, and I told him I have forgiven him, and we started another life together. So
Oh,
that was what happened. That was what happened. And I finally broke up with the guy. I finally broke up with him. I needed to face it, in order to I needed to be violent about it. I needed to be
yeah.
violent about it. Yes. Because I know if I wasn't violent about it, I wouldn't be where I am today. Okay? Because the devil is there to deceive. So he will deceive you into doing things that you wouldn't want to do. At the end of the day, you regret it. So that was, what happened. That was what happened
Wow,
about my restoration
wow,
to Christ, about how I
wow.
gave my life to Christ. Yeah.
Wow. Dorcas, even though I know like most of this story, it feels as though it's new and it is such a powerful story. And I'm just so thankful for your openness and your willingness to share. I believe that someone is going to get blessed, someone is going to get her salvation or his salvation through this
Mm.
particular story. So at what point now we've gone through the rough stages of your single life. At what point did you uh, decide that you wanted to settle down? At what point did you decide that it's now time? I've given my life back to Christ. I want to get married now. And at what point did you actually meet your husband? After all that you said, did you date again and it didn't? the person you dated didn't happen to be the one that you got married to, or was your husband, the person you're married to now, the person that you finally had a relationship with and got married to? And how did you know that it was the one? How did you guys meet? How did it happen? Tell us.
This issue, even me self, up to today self, I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't even know how to. I don't know how to even explain it, because the man I got married to today, I knew him, before, but I knew him as, like, I know this is a church member. You understand? Yeah. I knew him like a brother. I knew him like a chorister or a worker in the church. I took him as a brother, even though we were not that close. He was actually close to my younger brother and my parents.
Okay.
But we were never close to each other. When we were greeting ourselves like, hi. You understand? Yeah. So, but I noticed that all this while, he has always been in the picture, but I never noticed him. He has always been in the picture. Even when I went for studies, when I traveled out, I remember he was among the brothers that came to say farewell to me at the airport. And he came with this book, Purpose Driven Life.
Okay.
Yeah, he gave it to me, but it was when I got to my destination that I opened it. I opened it few weeks after, and I discovered there was a note in that book. Yeah, and the note was to tell me that the mistakes of mankind does not determine who he is or who he will be. That I should know, I should put it in mind that whatever happens or whatever happened, I should always remember that there is someone somewhere that cares for you. That was the exact word.
Come on, brother.
Yeah.
And you did it. Oh my goodness.
I didn't. Well, how can I see somebody that is blind? Can you see?
Because he actually gave you this book with the note when you hadn't given your life back to Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
I hadn't given my life back to Christ, and I missed a point. At the time that I went into sexual relationship with the guy before I traveled, at a point I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah. So at a point I got pregnant, and I was kind of castigated. I was like the black sheep among everybody, both the youths, the mothers, the fathers, pastors, leaders, the church itself. I was like the black sheep. And if I come to church program, you'll be hearing whispering here and there, pastors, this and that, that kind of attitude. And it pushed me. I wanted to go and get an abortion. We went for a retreat at that particular time, and in the night after service at night, I wanted to use that night to go for the abortion where nobody will notice, will know. So as I was sitting in the church, there's a sort of balcony around close to the church. So as I was sitting there contemplating which side, which hospital, where can I go for the thing. The brother that is my husband today, you know, at that time he was in the choir. So at a particular time, the choir members are supposed to go and sleep. He said since he has been coming for church programs like retreat and all that he never, whenever he goes in, he never comes out, because he makes sure he does everything before going inside. He never comes out. He's not the type that will be roaming around when he needs to rest or study the word and sleep. So, but that particular night, that was later on that he was now explaining that he didn't know what told him to come out that particular night. So he came out and met me sitting lonely at a lonely spot from afar, and then he approached me. Although he had heard about the incident, you know, news fly. So he approached me and asked how I was doing. I told him I'm fine, and then he asked what was I doing outside. I told him I'm waiting for time. I want to go and do abortion. You understand? Yeah. So I told him that I was waiting for time. I'm targeting this what do you call them? These gate men, these people that actually watch around when I'm targeting one of them to shift from the gate, and I'll go for an abortion. And then he was like, what? I said, oh, I'm going for an abortion now. Abi, you've heard I'm pregnant? He said, yes. I said, I'm going for an abortion. He said, are you crazy? And then he was like, do you know what that child will become? Do you know what that child will become tomorrow? I said, I don't care. Everybody's talking. This one is talking. The other one is talking as if I've killed somebody. It's not pregnancy I just got. So let me just go and remove the thing so that everybody will stop talking. And then he was like, I shouldn't listen to what people are saying, because if I go and try it, you know that you will die if you go and try the abortion. I said, am I even living? Let me go now. So he finished advising me and left. Good night, good night. He left. I still insisted and went. I went out, and I went with that guy, that particular guy. He was actually waiting for me somewhere in town. So I met with him, and then we were now going to the hospital for the abortion. So as I crossed the road to meet him, and then we were going towards the hospital, I felt a heavy cloud that covered me like this. I never forget those moments. I felt a heavy, like a smoke that covered me like this. And then I was hearing the voice, if you try it, you die. If you try it, you die. And then instantly I felt fear all over me. I don't know, I felt like I was manipulated though. And then I turned and I crossed the road again. The guy was like, what is happening? Are we not going there? I said, I'm not going. He said, let's go now. You're too young for this now. Let's go. And I said, I'm not going again. That was how I went back to the retreat ground. So that was a little detail, you know. And my parents were in the retreat ground. Everybody, my family all of us were in the retreat ground. So assuming I had gone and something
happened to you.
Wow. So I announced to them that something had happened somewhere, not for me. So I had to go back to the house to the retreat ground. And then the following morning, something happened again. I got annoyed, and I wrote a note to my mom that I was going to be myself. A lot of things happened anyway. It wasn't easy at all. So I knew him right from but we didn't. It wasn't like that. So when I went to school, he kept keeping in touch. You will see me on Facebook. I post something on Facebook. You comment. I'll be like, what is your business? Stop posting. Stop commenting. I used to bash at him. Stop commenting on my post now. did I post it for you? Why are you always commenting? Then one day I wore something. I wore some clothes that was exposing myself. I posted it on Facebook, and then he'll be like, he's like, I shouldn't wear this dress again. That is not good for me. And I was like, what is your business? Are you my father or my mother? I used to. So the communication was not like that with him. And I remember somebody telling me one day that this person, I'm suspecting there's something, and and I didn't appreciate it at that particular. I didn't appreciate that comment at that particular time because I wasn't seeing myself with that type of person. But everything,
It wasn't your type.
it wasn't my type. I had already drawn my type of person. He wasn't my type, and anything that has to do with him irritated me, and it was irritating me the most because at that particular time my parents had to send me money, and he was the only person that they could trust. Can you imagine? He was the only person that they could trust to give him money to go and send to me, and he always squeezed out his time to go and send money to me. And then when he sent the money, he would call me. I sent money to. I said, yeah, I know you have sent it. Bye bye. So that was no. So it was like cat and dog thing. You understand? So, and at that time, one time it was on vacation period. I had to travel to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria and I met this brother, and we began to talk. I spent like 3 months over there.
Another brother.
Yes, another brother. I met another brother in Nigeria, and we began to talk, and it seemed like it was there was something that will come out of it. And he proposed. I said he should go to the marriage committee. So he went to the marriage committee, and the time that I was to respond to the marriage committee's calls fell the same date I was to travel back to Ghana, where I was studying. And then he was like, I should postpone the journey. And I told him I had already booked my flight. I cannot postpone the journey. So, but at that particular time, I had already cultivated the habit of praying for the will of God. I had already started praying for the will of God. In fact, my first prayer point was that because I was still having feelings for the Muslim guy, I was like, God to convert him. I was like, God should convert him. Yeah, I was like, God should convert him because I feel okay with him. We understand each other very well. I don't want to be with another person. Please, God, let him become a Christian. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And I told God that if you don't want me to be with him, then bring somebody that I would love, not somebody that I will not love. I want to love the person. So I went to Nigeria and everything happened, but I couldn't respond to the marriage committee call. And the guy got annoyed because I couldn't postpone my journey for him. And I was like, why? Does it mean that my own interests you don't value it? Is not important to you? If it's marriage, we are not marrying tomorrow. It's just marriage committee. Anything can happen. I can still come back if need be. If God is leading us together, he will still make a way. So let me just go because I had to resume school. So I had to go, and he got angry. But a few days after, everything started working out again. But before that time, I had an experience with him that God drew my attention to. I'm the quick temper type. So one day like that, he invited me to the family.
No more.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I was. No more. No, I've really outgrown that. So he invited me to the family house, and I went because it was family house. I asked him who is in the house. He said his father is there, his brothers are there, and the house was big. Like, my goodness, this is a comfortable man. You understand? And this is something that I like. So I went, and he had, you see, the compound very big. He had fish ponds. He had a lot of, yeah. So I went there, and he taught me how to cook one Nigerian delicacies I didn't know how to cook. I was like, wow, so you can cook it. I want to learn how to cook it. So he taught me how to cook it, and we ate. After eating, he said he would drop me off. I said, okay, let's go. He showed me around the compound and everything was fine. And then we were going. He dropped me. He kicked his car, and we were going. So as we were going, the father was coming in. I think the father stepped out. The father was coming in, and the father was drunk. Okay. The father was coming in, and the father was drunk, and told me that he wants to give the father the key to the house. So when he stopped, the father asked him, I didn't hear what the father said, but there was a conversation. The father told him something, and he was shouting at the father. I was like, am I seeing well? You understand? And then he came back to the car. Non, vous me fermez la porte et je vais pas le bruit.
Laissez-moi terminer, pardon. Donnez-nous encore.
So I was vraiment. So he came in. I was like, is that not your father? He said yes. I said, why are you shouting at him? He was like, why should he tell me that I should come back early? Am I a child? Then a voice told me, are you sure you are going to cope with this? Because I know you. So that was how that was how I put a cross on it. So part of my reason for going back to Ghana was because I had already seen that it wouldn't work, even though he had gone to the marriage committee. You understand? So that was what happened, and we kept,
didn't work.
Yeah, that relationship was cancelled. And then I got another call from a marriage committee again in Ghana, and they were expecting me to mention the name of the person, and in my head everything was blank. I was like, how can I mention the name of a person? I don't have a person. So I suspected somebody had taken me there, because they invited me there, and I didn't have anybody in mind. I was like, why should I give you the name of the person? One of our leaders were like, okay, if you are shy of saying it, write it in a note and give to me. I will not say it to anybody. I was like, there's nobody. So what happened was that God answers prayers. The prayer that I made, and I told God that I want to love the person that you have chosen for me. I'm ready. I don't want to give you conditions. Just lead me, but make sure I'm in love with the person, because
of course
I can't just be with somebody I don't love just because maybe the person is a prayer warrior. No, I can't go with the person. So what happened was that one day, when I came back to Ghana, I was in my house. So you see the devil, and then he was like, this is weekend now. There's no exams on Monday. You don't have anywhere to go, and then you don't even visit people. Hey, it's been long ago, that your guy. Just pay him a courtesy visit. Just pay him a courtesy visit now. Just a courtesy visit, nothing more. Okay, I resisted at first, but I later went. But when I got there, he was taking his shower, and I waited in the sitting room. I was sitting, and then as I sat down, the voice came back and said, "You don't belong here." I heard it loud and clear. You don't belong here. Stand up immediately and go back home, because if you keep coming here, you are going to hurt Brother Fabian. That was exactly how the word was. It was very clear. The voice mentioned the name. Yeah. The voice mentioned my husband. So
Okay.
I opened my eyes and I was like, who is brother Fabian? Like, seriously, at some point I forgot even his name. You
The one that you've
understand?
been fighting and
Yeah,
rejecting.
the one that was fighting. I was fighting. I remember one time, and he sent me a message and on Facebook and was like, so and so brother just got married, and he was actually the brother's best man. And I told him that, yeah, I heard it, and so what's a big deal about it? And you, what are you waiting for to get married? You're always following people on Facebook. On what are you waiting for to get married? He was like, I'm going to get married at the right time. And
Mm.
anyway, that's by the way. I said, okay, if you are going to get married at the right time, won't you concentrate and find the right woman?
The first.
And besides, who is even that unlucky woman that will agree to even marry yourself? You, who is that person that will even have? I was very serious, so I told him that, who is that unlucky woman that will even accept to marry you? I was very serious, and he was like, he wrote on the message and said, anyway,
Wow.
this is supposed to be an insult, but I'm not going to rely on it. But let me tell you this today, that I am going to be the best husband of my wife. I was like,
Brother.
suit yourself. I was like, suit yourself.
Wow. The way he took it so calm.
Yeah. I was like, suit yourself. You understand? So, and that happened. And that particular one happened. And it opened my eyes. All of a sudden, I felt remorseful because I have been so harsh and rude and disrespectful to this guy. I wrote, that was the first time I wrote a message. I replied a normal message to him. And then I wrote like an apology note.
Wow.
He was not online, no. We were not chatting, no. Just the voice I heard. I just wanted to make amends. I wrote an apology note to him that day, that I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for being harsh on you. I'm sorry for the words, the insults, everything. I thank you for always looking up. Looking out for me. I'm grateful for always wanting to know how I'm faring and all that. And I'm sorry for everything. So,
Wow.
and he was like,
Another
wow.
reconciliation.
He was like, wow, finally. Finally,
That
you are
had
coming
been
back.
praying.
Yeah, you are coming back to your senses. Like, he didn't believe I wrote that. So it was like as if he just woke up to that. You understand? And that was
Yeah.
it. That was it. And that was how I stood up. The guy was still taking his bath. I stood up and I told him I'm going. He said, but I'm not finished. Wait for me. I said, no. I have to go right now. Like right now. That was how I took my bag, everything. I left. And then he followed me to the house. I told him that no, don't come, don't follow me again, don't come to me again. I think we are done. Like right now we are done. And then from the following day, I felt like talking to. So I felt yeah, I felt like talking to him the following morning. I felt like I should say good morning. I felt like he needs to talk to me. He needs to write.
Oh,
I felt,
love
I felt like he needs.
story. We finally connected. Hey,
Yeah.
pen,
we,
pen.
we
That's
finally
nice.
connected. So I felt like I want him to be talking to me every minute, and that was how we got talking, and at some point I couldn't stay any longer. I just want to go back, like.
Hey, come on. Now you couldn't wait. Wow,
I just
look
want
at
to
that.
go back, you understand? And to emphasize on that, to really conclude, say more on that, when he finally went to the marriage committee, he took his time to go there, because he told me that he doesn't want to go there twice. He wants to go out of conviction, and if he steps his foot at the marriage committee, that's it. He's not going back. So when he went, I was still in Ghana, and then he told the marriage committee, the principles of marriage committee, we shouldn't communicate, blah blah blah. He told them that he has already told me, he has already informed me, he has already professed his love, for me, and they told him that he should go and see. They told him that he should go and see. The pastor at that point, our general overseer, our national overseer rather, and he went to see the national overseer. And do you know what? The national overseer asked him, before he even mentioned the name of the sister, the national overseer asked him that what has he been waiting for all this while to come to the marriage committee.
I also mentioned his name to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and you were like, did I tell you? I'm like, no. When I mentioned his name, you were like, how did you know?
I was like, what is actually happening to me? What is actually happening to me? The national overseer told him that, is it not Sister Dorcas? He stood like this and was looking at the national overseer. Sir, how did you know? He said, I know. I just know. So that is how everything that is how everything happened. And I went to the marriage. When I came back for long vac, because I had not graduated by then, I came back for long vac, and the marriage committee invited me because I had already gone there months before I got back. So the marriage committee invited me, and I went, and I didn't waste time. There was nothing like dragging things left from right to left. I told them the person, that he is the person, and we started the process and everything, the test and everything, so that is what happened actually.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Like, ups, downs,
down.
My goodness, this is
at the end of the day, we came to meet at the roundabout. So
wow. There's nothing more to say. I'm speechless. God is such a beautiful, how will I even put it? Like, literally just hand over your life to God, and He's going to orchestrate everything so beautifully for you. Wow. Thank you so much, Dorcas, for sharing this with us. It's been an interesting time. At this point, I'm just going to say, you know what? Watch out for the next episode of my conversation with my different guests. This has been amazing. You've told us how you knew he was the one, so there's no point even asking anymore. And it just goes to say how much God cares and how much He's willing to speak to us and also help us, connect with the person that we are supposed to settle down with. And I know you're enjoying your marriage.
Exactly.
I know you enjoy your marriage. No regret whatsoever. It's really Wow. Thank you. Any final words to people watching?
Anyway, just surrender to God. Surrender to God. He is the best matchmaker. Surrender to God. Don't withhold anything. At the moment I told God, I'm not going to condition you anymore, just do your thing, and everything worked out like magic. So just surrender everything to God, and He is the best matchmaker. He is going to give you the best person. You will never regret it, trust me. It doesn't mean that there won't be problems, but still He will see you through the problems. He will give you guidelines on how to get through it actually. So that is my advice.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
And we have more stories coming just to inspire you and also to really encourage someone out there who really wants to, through these stories, make you understand that whatever challenge you may be facing is not peculiar to you. There are people who have gone through some of these things and have been able to come out of them stronger. And I hope that Dorcas' story has inspired us from harboring bitterness against her parents. In fact, what a story. God is faithful. I like the ending. At the end of the day, God restores. Glory! So if you are watching this right now and you probably have gone back, to the world, doing things that do not glorify God. We pray that this message actually speaks to you and makes you come back to God. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to today's Time with Priscillia episode. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye, guys.